Good morning, Miss Stephanie. I just wanted to connect with you via YouTube since I've not been able to connect with you via Zoom or in person to talk about your soul realignment reading. I do feel it's important to get this information to you, and it is incredibly transformative in nature. So I decided I was just going to upload it as a private YouTube link and let you have the link so that you have it to listen to whenever you need to go back and what have you. I want to explain a little bit about soul realignment, what it is exactly and how it works. So then I'm going to start in with discussing a little bit about your divine soul blueprint, who you are at soul level. And I'm going to go into your soul stories, which talks about the negative blocks and restrictions that over several lifetimes you've managed to create within your soul blueprint, and how we can clear those out and start transforming your current incarnation into something that is far more pleasant than what you are currently experiencing. So soul realignment is a protocol created by Andrea Hess for engaging with the Akashic Records for the purpose of finding out what blocks and restrictions or negative karmic patterns we have created within our existence that are currently impacting this lifetime, and how we can repair those blocks and restrictions and reintegrate our soul with divine source through different mechanisms to engage and gain our vital force energy. Vital force energy is that divine energy that we receive that allows us to be creative, prosperous people. And obviously, everyone is divine. We're all from divine source. The soul itself is individuated aspects of the divine. The only way that the divine can experience itself is by creating an experience through which it can experience itself, and we are that experience. And so we want that experience to be as positive as possible. What I'm going to do is start talking about your soul blueprint itself. Your divine soul blueprint. You are a positive soul. Most people are. There are some negative souls, and those are souls who have cut themselves off so much that they no longer have access to vital force energy through divine source itself, that they divine their vital force energy through other people. You are not one of those people. You are a positive soul. You're monosouled, meaning there's no soul shifting situation going on. You don't have more than one soul trying to incarnate in your body. You are one soul in this incarnation for this lifetime. Now, your energy center, you're familiar with the chakra system, and everybody has bits of those chakra energy systems running through them at any time. But we all have one or maybe two that we particularly align to, that is our method of receiving the most vital force energy that we can. You are a third energy center person, and third energy center is the gift of divine order. So you love law and order. You like rules and regulation, although you consider yourself a little bit of a rebel and you kind of break those. You like to make the rules, and you like things in life to have an order, but it's got to be functional. You like beauty, balance, and you like that balance between beauty and functionality. Things have to look good, but they've got to operate well as well. You're highly creative and artistic, and you have an innate sense of fairness. Where that becomes a problem is that the dysfunctional side of this is that because you thrive within that order, you find that there's always drama. There's always something going on. There's some sort of fire that needs to be put out, something that needs to be put into order, something you've got to come in and handle. And it's just, oh my God, it's overwhelming, the amount of drama that you can attract to yourself. And another kind of issue that comes from that and that arises out of this drama is that you're often finding yourself accommodating other people to the expense of your own happiness. You know, you so want balance and order and peace in your life that you have just got to, do whatever it takes to make these people happy and to keep everything flowing smoothly within your life. And sometimes that means that you're making decisions that go against what you, Stephanie, love and want and need for yourself. And so you find yourself constantly giving. You become a toxic giver. And that, I think, is something that I think you will relate to quite a bit. Your soul first incarnated in the star system of Orion on a planet called Mintaka. Mintaka was a water planet. It no longer exists. No one's sure exactly what happened to it, but it was somewhat of a utopian society. And people who are from Mintaka are very drawn to the constellation of Orion. You may find yourself kind of looking up at it and feeling like you're seeing an old friend in the sky every winter when it starts to appear. But because this was kind of a utopian society, Mintakans do not make conscious negative choices. Now, a negative choice is not a bad choice. A negative choice is a choice that you may make that goes against your divine soul blueprint that results in negative karmic patterns developing within your life. And we all make negative choices. Now, Mintakans don't do it consciously, and no one consciously makes we may consciously make choices that are negative, but we may not think of it as a bad choice at the time we do it because it seems like a good choice. Mintakans do it completely. You might know, oh, I'm not happy with this. Mintakans, they don't really like to do that. They don't consciously do it. They do it without even realizing that they are doing it because they like to help others. You tend to see only the good in other people, and you really invest heavily in the potential of other people. And the problem with that is you find yourself being everybody's cheerleader, but there's nobody cheerleading for you. You have a tendency to take on people as a project. You kind of need to help this person get themselves together. And, this person is a good person, but they need a little bit of help. They need a little bit of guidance. And so you're constantly finding yourself engaging with people that maybe don't really care about you, but you care far more for them than they do for you. And so you think that if you just show them the right way that they're going to become this person you want them to be. And that is the problem. And that's where some of that drama arises from, is that you tend to pick partners based on what you want them to be rather than who they actually are. You want them to be a certain way. You really like this person. They've got that potential within them. And so you stick with it, and you tend to stick with relationships a lot longer than you should, simply because you just think that if you give them enough time, they're going to become who they should be. You are a natural Jacqueline of all trades. You can do lots of different things, and you really don't understand war and hurting other people and things like this really deeply distress you. So you may find that you avoid watching the news or you just feel at times like you're overwhelmed by all of the negative that's here, and oh my God, how can people really be this awful? And so you find yourself checking out sometimes, and that's a very Mintakan kind of quality. Now, when we start to work on ourselves, we develop a different vibration rate. You may be familiar with soul vibration. I'm sure you've heard that before, raise your vibration and all of that. Here's the problem with raising your vibration, and especially as a Mintakan. We all vibrate most people vibrate between 4.0 to 5.0. That's the vibration of mind. You're aware that you're a living being. You're aware that you're here. Some people who have mental disabilities or mental challenges may vibrate lower within the 3.0 to 4.0 area. They're not really able to get into their own mind and project themselves onto other people or see viewpoints of other people, which is where that 4.0 to 5.0 is. It's where you start to gain a sense of empathy. Some people with mental disabilities don't reach that soul level, so they remain at the 3.0 to 4.0. No one's below a 3.0 level. When you start to work on yourself at a soul level, you start to raise that vibration rate and you go beyond the 5.0 level. Here's the problem with that. With that comes great responsibility. And sometimes we also find that we can't go back. Once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. So once the knowledge is there, it's there, but then we become stuck. It's like we keep working, we keep reading about all these things, and we might try it a little bit. We're not really investing in it, or we're not really pushing it to where it needs to go. And so, we're doing all of this studying on how to raise our vibration rate. So we're learning, but then we kind of get stuck, and we can't really manifest that. Now, as you start to grow in that, you start to attract what are called white lighters. White lighters and blue lighters are spiritual entities which are drawn to your vibration. And the higher your vibration rate, the more of these lights that you attract to yourself. And what they do is they amplify your decisions and your choices and the things that you do. The problem is, if you are continuously making choices that are against your divine soul blueprint, against who you are at soul level, even though you may think it's for the good or the greater good or the good of somebody else, those things get amplified as well. And so right now you have about 30 white lights around you. Now that's a pretty high number, because once you go beyond 30, you start attracting blue lighters, and they really amplify that. So you may, the end effect of that is, if you're not understanding your negative choices, then you keep making those patterns of behavior. You keep making those choices, and then that gets amplified, and you find yourself feeling more and more mired in your own muck. You just can't move ahead. You don't understand it. Now, right now, our souls, when we are born, we usually have spheres of protection. When we are created, we have about 3 spheres of protection. Through our negative karmic patterns and our choices that we take that take us against our soul level, those actions, because choices are actions. They're not decisions. Decisions are thoughts, but actions, things we physically do that take us away from that divine energy of ourselves, that thing which connects us to vital source energy. We erode those spheres of protection. You don't currently have any spheres of protection around your soul, but you did have one when you were born. So that has been eroded away. Now we can reconnect those, so don't panic. There is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about those karmic patterns which developed in your divine soul blueprint that are currently impacting where you are now, those patterns of behavior that you're locked into, why you're locked into those, the choices that you made that resulted in those patterns, and how you can get yourself away from that. We're going to talk a little bit about clearing. So when we talk about our negative karmic patterns, we talk about that in terms of a soul story. What we do is we do a little investigation work by looking at the patterns, and then we kind of start asking questions of the Akashic Records to gain more information. And what I have for you now is that soul story that I want to talk about. Oh, before I get to that, I do want to talk about when our God spark. You do not currently, God spark is that cord. It's like your umbilical cord that connects you to divine source. Often we create choices, we make choices that damage that God spark, and almost everyone has God spark damage. You have some God spark damage, and I will talk about that in a minute. That God spark damage, you do have a candidacy for a secondary God spark, and what that is there may be something that you are considering doing that may be really good for the benefit of the world, or will make a positive choice within the world. And when that possibility crops up, it's not an obligation, so don't feel like you have to act on this, but I do have an obligation to tell you that there is a candidacy for a secondary God spark. There is something that you're being prepared for. It is located at the 5th chakra level, which is the throat chakra, which tells me it's related to communication. So there may be a position that you are looking at, maybe something in which you're going to be doing some sort of public speaking, or maybe you're considering doing a workshop or starting your YouTube channel again and doing something that is going to put some of that information out there. And this would be for the benefit of many people or the world. It may make a change in the world, a ripple that will spread out. So you're not under any obligation to follow that. Just know that you may be being prepared for that, and there is opening up a secondary God spark for you at the 5th chakra level. Now, I'm going to go into talking about your negative karmic patterns in terms of your soul story. Now, The first group of patterns emerged about 16 lifetimes ago. And in that lifetime, you were incarnated as a male. You fell in love with a girl that your family did not approve of. But you and this girl, you wanted to get married. You really wanted to marry her, but your parents insisted that you marry another girl. You and this girl had created a soulmate bargain at the soul level. And while you each married another, this resulted in this really deeply hurt this girl. When you married this other person, this girl felt deeply betrayed, and you knew that this was hurting her, and this just ripped you apart and resulted in a sense of negative, unjustified karma. Uh, that is operating a pattern at your fourth chakra emotional body with an energy of penance. You're regretting this decision. You've always regretted this decision, and it just keeps going on. And what this is resulting in is that you are now kind of constantly feeling inadequate in your relationships. You feel like you're constantly having to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry in your relationships. It's always you who is admitting fault, and you're always feeling like things in relationships are not working out because of you or something that you have done. Now, your parents, because they knew that you were maintaining kind of this relationship with this girl, even though you're each married to someone else, um, it was discovered by your family, and that resulted in shame. Your parents at the time placed a negative intention on you of obedience. That continues to run with an energy of obedience at your fourth chakra emotional body. And again, what that is that leaves you feeling like you're the one that's always got to follow along in the relationship. You need to give up what you like in order to maintain the relationship. And it's always a giving of the emotional side. You feel like you just have got to, you're under some sort of obligation to be obedient to what the other person wants in the relationship, and it's extraordinarily unhealthy. Now, while you are continuing to uphold this soulmate bargain, so is this other soul. And so as a result, the souls of your parents and the soul of your soulmate are remaining attached to you, and this is draining your vital force energy. You're finding that you are having difficulty maintaining these healthy relationships, establishing and maintaining healthy relationships. It's just not happening for you. And additionally, you continue to replay these events within your emotional and mental body at these different chakra levels, and it's resulting in some memory highlighted. In other words, every time you get into a new relationship, these things replay, 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 and they're causing you to continue making these decisions, which is resulting in tears at your second and fourth chakra mental body. This leaves you believing that you are not adequate to keep this relationship going, both sexually and financially. You're finding yourself just sort of resulting in difficulty maintaining healthy relationships in which you maintain independence financially, and in which your needs are being met physically and emotionally. So you're finding that these things are just not manifesting for you, and you really are not sure why. Now, in your current incarnation, there were a few patterns that were popping up. There is God spark damage, which is resulting in you not receiving the kind of vital force energy you need at that third chakra level. I also was going to ask you what happened to you between the ages of 12 and 14, because we all are assigned spirit guides. Usually we have about 4 to 5 spirit guides. The younger you are, the more independent you're given at a younger age, the more spirit guides you're going to maintain. Some people don't only have 3 or spirit guides or 2 spirit guides because they were very controlled. Somebody was always making their decisions. The more independence that you have as a child, or the more you find yourself on your own, the more guides you're going to have. Now you have 5 guides. At the 4th position, I'm sorry, do you have 4 or 5? Let me double check that. You have 5 spirit guides, and you developed a negative spirit guide at the fourth position, which means around age 12 to 14, something happened that is causing you to uphold something that is operating within your current incarnation. And what negative spirit guides do is they cause you to uh, make a decision that you think is going to protect you in the long term from experiencing whatever that was that you experienced. Now, I have also seen that you have a negative thought form. This is something that you have created yourself. And what a negative thought form is, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept, but negative thought forms are entities or spiritual energetic creations that operate on our behalf, sort of like a servitor, right? In this case, you have a negative thought form, and what happens is, in order for this thought form to maintain, there has to be, it has to vibrate with you on some level. You have to go, that relates. Sometimes they're created by other people and directed towards us. Sometimes we create them, and in this case you have created this negative thought form, but it's something that you are upholding on your own, and it is operating a self-criticism kind of program within you. So it's operating at your fifth chakra, emotional body. So you find that you are constantly holding this dialogue of negative self-thought, right? Your fifth chakra is that communication, right? So your communication with yourself is very negative, and it's criticism. I didn't do this right. I did this wrong. I'm never going to get this right. I'm never going to do this. These are things that you're constantly running for yourself in your mind, and that is causing you to maintain and uphold. And some of that is a direct result of those negative karmic patterns that you're upholding, those choices that are constantly running, like that memory highlighted that I mentioned a minute ago. Now, all of these things are resulting also in negative astral travel that is incomplete. And this negative astral travel is operating both at the third to fourth dimensions, which means you may experience some, at its worst, you may find that you are having difficulty with sleep paralysis, where you are having these absolute, you know you're awake, but you can't get yourself to move. You can't get your body to go back into place. You're also experiencing at your fourth and fifth dimensional level portal, which is you're having difficulty actually getting in and out of that sleep that you need, that REM sleep. So deep sleep, you could be having a lot of difficulty waking up a lot at night. You're not maintaining that deep sleep, and you're finding that possibly you may even be doing something like sleepwalking, or you're really having a hard time kind of coming out of that sleep. Your sleep is incomplete. That astral travel isn't taking place the way it needs to, and so you're feeling groggy. You don't feel like you're ever getting enough rest. You're feeling kind of just out of it. And so we want to start clearing some of that out as well, because a lot of this is occupying about 15% of your mental life and 16% of your emotional life. And that's a really, really powerful part. I mean, when you think about it, that's almost 1/4 of your life is taken up with all of this kind of emotional baggage that's just sort of around you energetically. So we want to start working to clear some of that out. Um, I hope that you find this information useful. I am going to try to get a hold of you so I can send you the clearing work that's necessary for this. In addition to the clearing work, what it requires you to do is not just maintain a a commitment to the clearing work itself, but also to begin to step out of those negative choices. Now that you understand the choices that you made in the past that have led to some of this creation, and you understand where they stem from, you can start moving away from that. And one of the things that I would highly recommend to step you in that right direction is to look and see if your local battered women's shelter, or if any of the organizations in your area offer a healthy relationships class. A lot of times, we think that we're doing what's right in a relationship when what we're actually doing is completely unhealthy, and we don't even realize it. We think that we're doing the right thing. And I am totally guilty of this myself. So by taking a healthy relationships class, it helps you to understand. Another thing that you might want to look into is doing some work with family of origin. And if you can find an online class for that, I think it would be remarkably useful for you. Doing a family genealogy, there's a specific name for it, I can't remember, but I'm telling you that will help you to differentiate yourself and understand those patterns and step out of that in the current lifetime that you're living. It makes a huge difference in how people respond to you and how you respond to people. So those are two positive steps you can take right now today to start moving your life in the right direction that will help you to understand how to build and maintain healthy relationships, first with yourself and then with others, because you cannot maintain healthy relationships with others if you have this self-criticism and these negative thoughts going on in your mind. You're going to be constantly devaluing yourself and giving yourself over to others and giving up that power, and you have got to stop doing that. So start with the clearing work and then start looking into how to make new decisions. The next time something comes up and you think, I don't really want to do that, but you think, oh, but this person's going to be happy, and you find yourself on the verge of going, okay, say no. No, not going to do that. Start making new choices today, Stephanie. You can do it. And do this clearing work. So give me an email. I'll send you the clearing work. This video is yours. You can have a link and watch it anytime you want. I'll keep it up and I'll keep it private for you. Thank you so, so much for allowing me to have you as a practice client. And I hope that you find great transformation and can start building the life that you deserve and start rebuilding your divine soul blueprint into the person that you are meant to be.